the scores, when you're working with predictive validity, the scores from test A are correlated to test B to predict X, Y, Z. The correlation coefficient that is obtained when you apply these mathematic formulas can range from a -1, which is a perfectly negative relationship, to 0, which is a 0 relationship, to a +1, which is a perfectly positive relationship. Obviously, we normally never get to a perfect relationship in any sort of measurement. But the higher the coefficient, especially in the positive range, the higher the validity. The rule of thumb for standardized tests is you need a validity coefficient of 0.90 or better, and that includes subtests. So you might have an IQ validity score for an WSCAR IQ is 0.90 or better. The GRE is 0.94, for example. But you also need good validity coefficients at the 0.90 or better in the subtests as well, such as verbal, math, etc. Negative scores indicate that there's a negative relationship. And I threw in a little example, which has no validity whatsoever in research. I just dreamed it up. Hours per day spent watching TV is negatively correlated with above average scores on the SAT. So somebody can follow up on that and see if it's a true fact. A correlation of 0 means there's no relationship at all. There's also a section in your text about consequential validity. Please don't even read it. I'm frankly shocked that it's in the text. It doesn't exist, so skip this part of the text. Thank you. How can a classroom teacher improve the validity of his or her tests? Well, I have some ideas and I want to share them with you. Before the test, draw up your matrix and your table of specifications. See if you have enough items to cover the objectives that you truly emphasized and taught in your instructions. You can also pilot test your instrument, especially those essay items. You, as the teacher, need to write out an example response to an essay item and score it with the rubric that you've developed to score that particular item. And if you can get some other guinea pigs to do it with you, that's an excellent way to improve the test before you administer it. I also suggested earlier peer review, great way. During the test, I like to observe during the test. I know a lot of teachers grade papers during a test and, this is a kind of a day to catch up while the kids are taking a test. I like to observe. I do also timing. I take a look at who finishes first. Are they my best students, my worst students, my most impulsive students? I take a note of who finishes when. And I also used to ask the students to rate the test and the items. They can give an overall rating of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 of the whole overall test. And then I asked them also to put a star by the items that they had trouble with because they didn't understand the question. That can help you in your grading process, of course. If you're using Scantrons, that doesn't work. After the test, it's really important to conduct an item analysis. See which of your items are working effectively and which are not. I think you'll remember on the week 1 quiz for this class, there were 2 items actually that just weren't functioning well at all. That's not your fault, it's my fault. So I basically threw those items out. The next time, those are going to be revised, or they're going to be thrown out altogether and replaced with a different type of item. It's really important. There's so much learning that occurs when you go over the tests with your students. Please, I beg you, go over the tests with the students. And particularly if they do really poorly on the test, you may need to start with question 1 and go through every item one by one. It's really important that you go over the test with the students. And frequently they will say, that was a really misleading item or a distractor or question it altogether. If we could go back just a second. You need to make sure that when you find those items that are misleading or distracting or just not working very well, that you revise them for the next go-round. Re-examine after your test your instruction and reteach things if necessary. After all, the whole purpose of assessment is to see how well the students learned what we thought we were teaching. Okay? Okay, so why do we go to all this trouble to develop an outstanding classroom-based test? Well, because it's intellectually honest and it's fair, and our students deserve our best efforts. There's also a selfish motive in it as well. Your grading becomes more defensible. Think about it. What are most often the topics of the parent-teacher conferences that are requested? Grades and behavior. So if your grading is defensible, that's one less thing you have to worry about, and you can concentrate on behavior. So you want your grading to be fair, honest, true, accurate, valid, consistent, and defensible. Okay? Thank you very much.